Where do we go shopping?
Gotta get over to Georgia Tech.
How are you? I'm happy to do this. Pleasure to brought an actual flag this time. Jim, good to see you. No, she had a campaign thing tonight. I'm going to ask Lisa.
That's all the high news that I do on my discussion. Not even. Hey, look at you guys. Look at you. You decided to put on official Georgia Tech here. That's right.
I need to talk to you about papers that I need to sign out.
Crazy day.
You haven't been there. Well, I've got them at home. Yeah, but you haven't been there the last 2 Saturdays, and I've missed you. So that's okay. I'm just saying I've been trying to, but I need you. What are you doing Saturday? Okay.
I was there in
It's just veteran stuff, and it's in. Hi, how you doing?
That was a great experience. We had a Georgia Public Broadcasting debate today, and I was there for an hour on that radio. So I drove through campus. It's unbelievable. And I gotta be honest, I think I'm old school. It's part of
Okay, I know who that is. Yes.
not getting making all the credit.
So you need volunteers, right? Okay.
What are you gonna do?
I can now. Let's just tell her that my life is just so much longer. Sorry. Oh no. So many sacks of papers. He just kept so much. I mean, I've had about 17 big garbage sacks. I'm having to go through no, actually, I've got them like in 4 stacks of stuff that I've got. I'll come around the other side, but I just needed to. Is your meeting all day? What are you doing in the morning? It's waiting this time. I don't know how it
Call us today.
All right. Sit down, kid.
Oh, you don't want to come to my house? No. Yes. Good to see you.
I saw you slip in.
I have a few of them that I one.
Guys, I'm going to pass out a little sign-up sheet. If this is your first time here, we very likely do not have your email address, so we won't send you, I promise, we won't send you Nigerian bank solicitations. We'll send you a notification of our events. So, name and email address. We don't even need your phone number. How cool was that?
Well,
What's that? It's for anybody who is new. If we have your email already, you can write it down again, but you're probably already getting some. I'm sure you are.
I'm going to go ahead and call us to order now so we can get started. Lisa, would you mind leading us in prayer?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let us pray. Lord God, I just thank you for another beautiful day you've given us. You've been so gracious and merciful to us. Thank you for the use of our faculties and limbs. Thank you, Lord, for restoring us in our right minds to be able to do our daily activity today and to be able to look unto you as the author and finisher of our faith. Lord, as we go into this business meeting tonight, Lord, I just pray that you are all in the middle of it and that we may do all things well for your glory. Help us, Lord, as we try to uphold the standard in this country, the constitutional rights in this country. Watch over our president, vice president, their families, and the administration. Help us, Lord, to once again be a godly nation and to look unto you to everything we say, everything we do. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. And God bless Trump.
Protect him.
Oh, there's a flag.
Well, we actually have a flag this week.
It's very
Nancy Ross just made it.
So let's have everyone to attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll do our role kind of internally here. As we normally do, we're going to start off with our keynote speakers since he's got busy things to do this evening. Pleased to welcome State Representative and candidate for Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan.
Almost makes me want to pick out my favorite hymnal and start singing it. It's great to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to speak from over here so you don't have to look at my tail. What a crazy process running for Lieutenant Governor. What a crazy process. My wife and I and the boys decided 20 months ago that this was going to be the journey we were going to go on. And here we are. There's 12 days left, and it has been an amazing journey. It has been an honor for us to do this. And it's been an honor for a number of reasons, and not just because it's a big election and it's an important spot. It's been an honor because this has always been about a movement for us. A movement that believes in we the people more than it does we the government. And so it's been an honor to be able to share that across the state. Today was a crazy day. I had a speech this morning. I had a radio interview this afternoon. We just finished a TV debate. David Schaefer and I were on, did a televised TV debate at GPV. And in the car, when I was wiping off the sauce from Chick-fil-A on my face, I realized I didn't take the makeup off they put on me. I don't know what to think about that. My kids will, I'm sure, make fun of me when I get home. So, 12 days to go. We're excited. We've got a lot of energy, and we've got a real shot to win this. Nobody thought we had a chance to even get to the runoff. Our goal early on was this. It was to keep David Schaefer below 50%. He's been in politics 30 years. He's been in the Republican Party circle for 30 years, and we knew that. And so it was to keep him under 50, and it was to beat Rick Jeffries and to get in second place to go to the runoff. The first day we started this campaign, he had $2 million, and we had none. We had no $1 million. And so we knew he could bleed off as much of that as he possibly could during the runoff or during the primary, and we could get to a level playing field. And here we are. My story's different. Some of y'all have heard me speak before, so I'm not going to go into the deep stump speech, but I'm going to just tell you my story's different. And I think that's really what's attracted a lot of people to who I am and what I stand for. My first paycheck came on a baseball field. That's why I like your shirt so much. And because it has Trump on the back. My wife and I went to high school together in Alpharetta. Both went to Georgia Tech. I got a baseball scholarship. She was a lot more prepared for school than I was when we went there. But my junior year, I got drafted by the Florida Marlins organization, and it was a lifelong dream. I mean, in fact, earlier today, I had about an hour to kill before I got to the debate. And I went on campus, and I drove down this little tiny road where my dorm room was, and I looked through the exact window I was looking out from the other side
when I listened to the message when the Florida Marlins said, "This is John Castaway with the Florida Marlins. We just took you in the Major League Draft. Please call me." And I mean, it's just instantly a lifelong dream had come true. 6 seasons in the minor leagues. It's a hard road. We got married right away, but we had a blast doing it. We learned a lot. Brooke and I learned a lot in that process. Learned a lot about baseball, obviously. Went from rookie ball to low A to high A to double A to the Arizona Fall League to triple A to big league camps in spring training, but never got to make the millions. My career ended shortly after my 6th season started. We learned a couple of big lessons. One was we learned how to work hard, right? Working hard is about chasing a dream also. And so that's what we learned too. Chasing a dream isn't about somebody just handing it to you and saying, "Hey, here you go, here's your dream." Chasing a dream is about knowing what you got to do each and every day to be successful. And so that's what we learned. And we took that skill set from baseball into business. We started our first business out of our house in Forsyth County, Georgia, where we live now, with just the two of us. We were small. We had one phone jack, and it did 4 things. It was our home phone, our business phone, our fax, and our dial-up modem. And yes, I am that old. And so we had to wait to hear how the devices rang as to which one we plugged in. So we started that business, and we had a dream to grow it, and we did. And we grew the business, and we eventually moved into a bigger office building, and bigger office building. We hired a lot of folks, and ultimately sold that company at a later date. That took us into new ideas and new opportunities and new investments, and it was just a great time for us. We have 3 awesome boys. They're crazy, but they're awesome. And so we raised those kids, and nothing said politics. Nothing. Right? Nothing in our life said politics. We learned how to be a Republican exactly where y'all did, at the kitchen table. Right? We learned how to be a Republican, I learned how to be a Republican at my kitchen table when my mom would talk about fiscal responsibility, or my dad would talk about how important faith is to us. That's where I learned it. That's where my wife learned it. We didn't learn how to be Republicans putting on fancy suits and going to the Georgia Capitol. So those were the values. So nothing said politics. We walk into North Point Church about 8 years ago, dropped the kids off at Sunday school, and we walk in, and Brooke and I sit down, and Andy Stanley started a series called Recovery Road. And Recovery Road was this. It said, you got to stop complaining and start getting involved. We've all gotten so good at complaining about the issues. We're not doing enough about it ourselves. Right? Talk about education. How many folks, we all complain about teachers and principals and curriculum, but not enough of us are spending time with our own kids at our own kitchen table, talking about the importance of that education to their future. That's personal responsibility. We talk about bankrupting our country, and there's a lot of folks in government that are bankrupting us left and right. We see that. Too many of us are bankrupting ourselves. We're spending money on things we can't afford just to keep up with the changes. Until we start to make a difference in our own lives or in our own communities, we're not going to change it. We're not going to change who we vote for. So the call to action was this. Go get involved. Go make a difference in your family. Go make a difference in your community, or go run for office. That's what we did. Walked down the parking lot and I said, "Brooke, we're going to go run for office." And I just kind of backed up a little bit. And here's what we did. We ended up running against essentially a longtime incumbent, former chairman of the insurance committee, director of important stuff at the Georgia Capitol. I didn't pick that race because I thought he'd be easy to beat. I picked the race because I felt called to go run for a state house position in Forsyth County. And so we worked hard. We worked hard. We knocked on thousands of doors, we made thousands of phone calls, and we ended up winning that election by 55 votes in 2012. 55 votes. That's one street. One street. That's 13 houses. My son did this math for me the next day in the carpool line. He goes, "Dad, if you just 26 of those votes switch and go the other way, and husbands and wives always usually vote the same way," he goes, "that's 13 houses." Son, get out of the car. You got to go to school. But he's right. Every vote counts.
Yeah.
Every vote's going to count in this race too. So long story short, I'll speed up a little bit. I walk into the General Assembly in 2013. I didn't know anybody. We went to go get sworn in. My wife, my 3 kids. We walk in. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where the bathrooms were at the place. But I did know what my values were. I knew what my principles were. And I decided at that moment I wanted to be good at the policy and ignore the politics. And that's exactly what I did. Everybody wanted to say, "Oh, you're not going to the right fundraisers, you're not staying late, you're not doing this." Yeah, I know. I'm going to focus on the policy. Because that's what I promised everybody in Forsyth County and my family what I would do. So I wrote a couple of big ideas in my 5 short years at the General Assembly. I wrote one called the Cargo Theft Act. Georgia's third in nation in cargo theft at the time, organized crime, and moved in and taken advantage of our weak laws. Back then, if you stole a truck with $1 million worth of cell phones or flat screens, or you picked whatever your product your company sells, and somebody stole that truck with that cargo, they went to jail for stealing the truck, which was a couple of weeks or months. That's it. And the GBI, after I went in and met with them, told them what I wanted to do, they said these thugs just keep getting recycled by these organized crime families. So I said, I got an idea. Let's change the law. Let's say if you steal $1 million or more of cargo now in a truck, you go to jail for 20 years. 20 years. Got it passed. Fast forward a year, GBI came and got me and said, Jeff, do you know that cargo theft got dropped 68% in 1 year in the state of Georgia? 68%. The second bill I wrote was Michael's Law. The following session, a young man in my district, 18 years old, Michael Gather, was beaten to death by a bouncer in Statesboro, Georgia. Graduated from high school, goes down to Statesboro, Georgia, and he got beaten to death by a bouncer who was 19 years old at a bar. Family came to me and said, Jeff, this could have been stopped. A bunch of bad decisions made that night, but this could have been stopped. And I said, well, tell me more about it. And they said, well, 102 times an ambulance showed up to this bar in 3 years. Nobody did anything about it. 72 alcohol citations to this bar owner in those same 3 years, and nobody did anything about it. So I went to work and wrote Michael's Law, which raises the age of bouncers to the age of 21. I couldn't imagine why, nor could anybody really, for that matter, really think that anybody under the age of 21 should be verifying if somebody's 21 walking into an establishment. Makes sense. The second is we created a shot clock. If a bar gets cited for an underage alcohol citation, or any alcohol citation, they have 45 days to report themselves to the Department of Revenue. And the local authority that gives the citation also has to report to the Department of Revenue. If somebody's going to break the law, we want to catch them. If somebody's not breaking the law, we don't want to slow them down. We want to allow them to continue to run their business. The third bill I want to spend a minute on is the rural health care bill. There's no rural hospitals here. But we all are part of this ecosystem in Georgia that are paying for the rural health care. Some of y'all have come from rural Georgia. Some of you have businesses located in rural Georgia. So it affects us all. I woke up and realized that there was 54 rural hospitals in Georgia that were struggling, that had really no chance to be able to predict that they could even keep their doors open from month to month to month. I mean, some of these hospitals were missing payroll or borrowing money for payroll. And so I decided to come up with an idea that said this. If you're a corporation or a citizen, we're going to allow you to write a check directly to a rural hospital. In return, we're going to now give you 100% tax credit. You write a check for $1,000 to a rural hospital that's on the list, you now get a $1,000 tax credit that comes back to you. With federal deductions and the new Trump tax policies, it actually becomes a moneymaker. The best part about this, the most conservative part about it, is these dollars arrive at these hospitals with no strings attached. Right? These rural communities are being strangled by the fact that governments are giving them money, but then saying you need to see these new types of patients or you need to buy this new equipment. These dollars arrive with no strings attached, and communities can decide where they want to spend the dollars. I think it's a good way to move forward with other issues that we have, where we empower people to solve problems and not just government. And that's a big issue in this race. Right? I'm one of those people that believe we the people should solve the problems and not we the government. If something's broken, we don't need to make it bigger and better. We need to just turn the people over to it. Adoption, foster care, homelessness, hunger, health care for low-income individuals. We could keep going on and on and on with the problems that we face in this state and other states and use we the people to start to make some headway. So why in the world am I running for lieutenant governor, right? I mean, 43, had some success in the General Assembly, had a good business career, young family. I'm running for lieutenant governor because I think I can do it better, bolder, and create a culture that rewards good policy over good politics, which should be music to the ears of every single Republican in this state and in this country. We know our values work. We just need a shot. We need a shot to let our conservative principles reign. We're not going to do it because we can sneak in backdoor tax increases, right? We're not going to do it because we trick people. We're going to do it because we get to implement our strategies. Things like school choice that truly allows the family to make decisions at the kitchen table. To talk about real big tax cuts that, just like Donald Trump, realizes that you're better at spending your dollars than the government will ever be. If we want to move to a fair tax, we got to take it from a couple of different angles. One, we've got to We've got to cut what we're spending. If all we do is lean into government programs and continue to make them bigger and shinier, we're never going to get anywhere that you expect us to get. It's not going to be easy. I'm not the next guy in line. David Schaefer, like I said, has been in politics 30 years. He's got friends everywhere. We've snuck up on him. The polls have us right there. We got 12 days to go. When I wake up in the morning, it's going to be 11. And here's why. People realize that this policy over politics thing is something only I can do. David's got 17 years to do this in the General Assembly, and yet he talks about it, but he hadn't done it. He hasn't done it. He has been the system. The currency I want to trade as lieutenant governor is not, did you go to my fundraiser? Did you endorse me in the newspaper? Did you hold your nose and vote yes on a bill you promised your folks back home you wouldn't? The currency I want to trade is, do you come to work every day and take a good idea and make it great? Do you understand truly what the conservative principles are? Not, what do I got to do to become a chairman of X, Y, and Z? No. You got handpicked by your constituents to go represent them, not the special interests. It's a tough uphill battle, but we got a shot. This is a sharp contrast. I voted no on over $1 billion worth of tax increases in the General Assembly. $1 billion. Wasn't easy. I got scars on my back from doing it. I didn't do it because I thought I was running for lieutenant governor. Certainly, but not because my wife thought I was running for lieutenant governor. Did it because I promised 4,000 people when I knocked on the door in Forsyth County that that's what I was going to do. I was going to vote for lower taxes, small government. And I did my best. If we win this, and I think we're going to win on July 24th, I truly do. It's not going to be because the lobbyists line up behind me and write me $2 million worth of checks like David Schaefer's gotten. It's not going to be because I've gotten 400 plus elected officials endorsements, or he said today 280, I don't know what the difference is. It's going to be because hardworking Georgians realize that they want to elect a successful outsider instead of a 30-year career politician being the next lieutenant governor. This is a grassroots fire that started burning 20 months ago, and it was hard. How hard it was to walk into rooms all over the state 20 months ago, and not a single person in the room knew who you were. But here we go, right? In the primary, we had almost 150,000 people vote for me, and we were just getting started. Our website is teamduncan.org. We've got lots of information over here that Joseph has either handed out or can hand out. We got yard signs. We're down to slim pickings. We have reordered yard signs a number of times. Tomorrow morning, we will have 11 days left. We're done ordering signs. So what we got is what we got. Tell your neighbors. Tell the folks you go to church with. Tell the folks you work with. Tell your spouse to go out and vote. July 24th is a big day. It's a big day for Georgia. We're going to elect a new governor and a new lieutenant governor for the first time in a long time. Which direction do we want to go? Which direction do we want? Do we want to play backroom petty politics, or do we want to have innovative new strategies that doesn't just lead ourselves, it leads an entire nation on the big issues? I'd love your vote on July 24th. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know when the debate that you just filmed is going to air?
So it was a live stream today,
Okay.
and then it will air live, or it'll tape on Sunday, I think around 4:30, 5:30. It's on the GPB website.
Okay.
Well, I didn't hear you say one thing about what you would do different than the lieutenant governor who's running for governor. If he's gonna be governor, what would you do different from him? He's been in there so many years, but I can't think of two things he's really known for, other than he grew up, in difficult circumstances.
So the tip of my spear as a lieutenant governor is going to be creating that environment of policy over politics. And it's going to be hard.
What policies?
Policy is K through 12 education needs to get better in the state of Georgia everywhere. If we don't improve K through 12 education in the state of Georgia, we have no chance to accomplish our dreams or our goals or our economic markers that we have out there, right? If we don't improve K through 12 education, which I believe is the greatest gift you can give a child in the state of Georgia, is a quality K through 12 education. Because no matter where they're from, no matter how difficult their situation is at home, if they have a quality K through 12 education, they can actually provide for themselves and their family for a lifetime. Want to talk about transportation?
We're not being taxed enough already at the county level to do that. Why aren't the teachers and the school systems doing it?
I think dollars ought to follow the child and get closer to the system, closer to the kitchen table. I've yet to meet a bureaucrat in downtown Atlanta that makes a good decision, sitting in a queue. I think you are better at making decisions. There's more we can drive back to the communities and to the kitchen table, I think we're better off. We want to talk about transportation, right? I think we ought to prioritize transportation like everybody else does. But I don't think that means we should just say, oh, we forgot to prioritize it for 30 years, so now we're just going to start taxing everybody just because we can get away with it. I think we truly got to have a plan that just doesn't talk about building wider roads and taller overpasses, a plan that integrates comprehensive ideas, like how do we integrate technology? How do we incentivize freight to move from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. and return those lanes to commuters going to and from their offices? How do we incentivize companies to work further out instead of closer in? How do we incentivize folks to work from home at a fraction of the cost of building 10 more lanes? How do we incentivize folks to work from home or maybe start work at 10 o'clock in the morning instead of 8 o'clock in the morning? I think there's ideas that and tax reform, right? I appreciate the fact that there was a 0.5% cut on the state income tax this session. That's great. It's a great first step. But those are Donald Trump's tax cuts. We cut a 0.5% off of your personal income tax bill because those dollars were coming back to the state's budget because he cut the budget at the federal level. I think we can continue the trajectory. Because I, like him, think that if I give you your money, let you keep your money, you're better at spending it than the government programs are. You're more efficient. Right? That was the whole crux behind the rural health care bill. Nobody could figure it out. I mean, there was gnashing of teeth when I wrote this bill and dropped it in the hopper. Like, whoa, wait a minute. You're usurping the budget process here. You're allowing taxpayers to give checks directly to the problem. Well, that skips us out of the loop. And I'm like, can I get an amen in the congregation? Right? Because here's what happens. If you wanted to deliver $1 million to a rural hospital, right? Write a check, give it to a rural hospital. What would you have to pay the state of Georgia in your taxes for $1 million to show back up at that same hospital? 5 million? 10 million? 15 million? I don't know. Be some astronomical number because you have to pay for the cost of bureaucracy to go all the way through it. I want to be innovative.
Policies that, like the university system where you have a board of regents and so forth that seems to spend tremendous amounts of money on infrastructure that has nothing to do with teaching anyone anything.
Yeah, we were just talking about this earlier about, I just drove through Georgia Tech's campus today. It's like the Taj Mahal. Look, I've got 3 kids coming through. I've got a 16-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 7-year-old. I got 3 kids I'm going to put through college. I'm absolutely concerned about the cost of college. There's lots of things we can work on, but I think it starts with policy over politics. That'll be the absolute separation factor if Jeff Duncan's the lieutenant governor.
What's your position on common control?
I think it's a terrible idea.
Thank you.
I think it's a terrible idea. I've got 3. Here's what I know. I know that I live in Georgia because I choose to live here, not because I have to live here. I think we're better decision makers than bureaucrats sitting in cubes in downtown Washington, D.C. that want to write the curriculum for my kids, or your kids, or your grandkids, or anybody else. Yes, sir.
You said you voted against $1 billion in tax increases. What are some of that increases that you voted?
So the first one was the hospital bed tax, my 10th day in the General Assembly. I voted against the hospital bed tax, which was a bill, and most people don't even know this exists, conservatives. I vote no, and I said 17 people to vote no. But it was the best drive home. I called my wife, and I said, Brooke, I just did what I said I was going to do. I didn't buckle to the pressure. I didn't buckle to all the rooms where they pull you out to the side, take you, you got a great career, Jeff. Just follow the system.